Internet is freaking horrendously slow right now. Look at Bobby Cox right here. I remember him as manager of the Braves, Major League Baseball, as I was growing up. You can see right here, look at this, he dies. Manager of the Braves team that ruled the National League and won 1995. It was the World Series. He's dead at 84 years old. Man, didn't they go to like a ton of NLCS games back in the day? The Braves, one of the teams with the Cubs and the Oakland A's that I grew up a fan of. And they said he had a stroke in 2019 and heart issues that complicated his recovery. And that's pretty much all that they're crediting the death to. I mean, 84 though, it's a long life. But I do have some connections here. If you didn't know by now, this is a decoding channel. So these stories come across my algorithm, and I have so much practice in doing this. I catch amazing connections related to other stories as well, and it's just not a coincidence. And I'm going to show you, but I'm going to play this video first. I'm going to attempt to play it. There we go.
And Reggie, some of those Braves fans are paying their respects at Truist Park. That is where we find 11 Alive's Galat Malamed near the marker that bears the late manager's likeness tonight.
All afternoon, we've seen fans stop by the statue of Bobby Cox outside Truist Park. And while the Braves are out of town tonight, there is a Savannah Bananas game here, so it is quite busy. We've seen several fans taking pictures with the statue. Some fans even leaving behind flowers with a note saying, "Thank you, Bobby." An Atlanta legend, that is one of the ways fans are describing Cox. They're thanking him for the success he brought to the team, especially leading the Braves.
Right? And then, they're going to go on to mention that the World Series in 95. So I mentioned he had a stroke in 2019 that led to heart issues. And you could see right there with the language, stroke 88 like Bobby Cox, stroke 25, which matches with heart, right? And Bobby Cox has that 38 like stroke, and that's what they said as far as his medical conditions. And you could see when the letters are converted to numbers, look at that match. He dies on the 129th day of the year, and Bobby Cox equals 128 in the reverse cipher. Look how close that is. So this is manager of the Braves teams that ruled the National League and won the 95 World Series, right? Atlanta, Georgia. Ted Turner just died, remember? And he was owner of that 95 World Series team with the Braves. He dies, and just days later, Bobby Cox dies, both affiliated with that 95 Atlanta Braves championship. Oh, and did you catch it? Bobby Cox passes away the 9th day of the 5th month. 1995 World Series champions, as he is the manager of that team back in the day. Check that out. Oh yeah, and I've mentioned it before, Atlanta and Georgia have been trending very hard Remember, Angel Reese got traded to the Atlanta Dream. There's a lot of symbolism here. What does it symbolize? I mean, are the Atlanta Dream going to win the WNBA championship this year? Is, you know, is there good news for maybe, I don't know, the Atlanta Braves? I'm not sure, but what does this symbolize? Maybe in some other Georgia teams, a lot of Georgia stuff going on. Remember last month was the anniversary of Martin Luther King Jr., who was I think born and raised in Georgia, right? So, I mean, we'll see what happens. Oh, yeah. And Bobby Cox dies 12 days before his birthday. On top of all that, do you see the script here? The Orioles hold Tupac Shakur bobblehead promotion. Bobblehead. Bobby Cox dead. Do you see that? BOBB, BOBB. Dead head. And I'm not talking the Grateful Dead. Look at that. And it's both baseball trending at the same freaking time. One after another in my algorithm. Tupac, bobblehead, Bobby, Cox, Pac. Big script.
It's been a tough week for Braves country. On Wednesday, the club announced that their former owner, Ted Turner, passed away. Just days later, their longtime manager, Bobby Cox, dies at the age of 84. Now, Bobby Cox is a name that has generated a whole lot of respect. Over nearly 3 decades, Cox finished with 2,504 career wins. That ranks 4th all time, including a stretch in the late 90s and the early 2000s when the Braves won 14 division titles, including a 1995 World Series win. That is something that a lot of fans still remember to this day, along with his reputation of going above and beyond for his players. Cox was thrown out of 162 games before retiring in 2010.
A lot going on there. Nicely put together commentary on that video there. Here's Ted Turner again. So Ted Turner, owner of that team. Notice how he's born in Cincinnati, and I just dropped the Cincinnati baseball decode as well. Their closer getting injured. Look at that right there. Oh, and look, Ted Turner died again on Angel Reese's birthday. Forgot to mention that. Ted Turner dies on Angel Reese's birthday with that Angel Reese connection. Look at that. I think I mentioned it in that video. Wow. Right? And then 3 days later, Bobby Cox. Right there. Super, super interesting. That's his full name. I don't think I ever entered that. I feel like I got a minute here. Let's enter that real quick. Oops. Let me copy and paste it a little bit better. Robert Joe Cox. Let's see. Let me put Atlanta. So he did die at 84, and Atlanta equals 48, which is the reverse of 84. And notice, look at this right here. Let's get rid of that. And look at that. Atlanta 115, Robert Joe Cox 150. 150 is like 15. Right there. Interesting. Yeah, again, this was one of the teams that, you know, they were on TBS, obviously, right? Turner Broadcast Systems or whatever it was. Ted Turner, their owner, had the network as well. But them, and then the Cubs were on WGN, so I'd always watch these two teams. Cubs were my team, the Braves were my grandpa's team. And I don't know how I became an Oakland A's fan. Maybe because I'm here where spring training is. I don't know if all of those teams were here, but the A's had Canseco and McGuire. The Braves had Dave Justice. They had great pitchers, Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, Steve Avery. Cubs had Ryan Sandberg, Mark Grace. But, yep, Bobby Cox, they say gone, no longer with us. The stroke in 2019, heart issues that followed. Now 2026, RIP to the character. And I'll see you in the next decode.